How's it going, guys? I'm back here with Sword and Shield Pokemon battles here. I've got two battles for you here, two singles and two doubles. And right off the bat here, I'm noticing a trend in Sword and Shield in that people are using predominantly, if not entirely, legendary teams. And you're going to see that reflected here. So I lead with my Dragonair. I love Dragonair. I know Dragonite packs more of a punch, but this Dragonair has the Eviolite that gives it a lot more survivability, and combined with the multi-scale ability that reduces damage if it's at full health, it almost always survives the first hit. Now that multi-scale doesn't do it any good after it's taken damage, but that does let it survive that first hit and get in whatever damage it can before it starts to get knocked out. Now, I find Zygarde's ability with this complete form to be super annoying, personally, but fortunately with the Dragon typing, I was able to almost take it out even with that complete form. Rocky Helmet took out my Dragonair, but the fact that I was able to take it out, almost take it out, even with that extra health it got back, means my Dragonair did pretty good in my opinion. Now here I'm sending out my Blastoise, and it is my designated G-Max Pokemon. Not necessarily the only one I would ever Dynamax, but this is the only one on the team that is Gigantamax. So obviously that Ice Beam was not necessary. Probably would have one-hit the Zygarde from full health, but more than enough to finish it off. And this was sort of a tricky situation for me, because Xurkitree's electric, and that's going to do a lot of damage to my Blastoise. But I also know, don't mind my dog's tags jingling in the background, I also know that Blastoise can output a ton of damage in G-Max, so I kind of took a gamble here. With this G-Max Cannonade, not only does it get the same type attack bonus, but it's also going to do some lasting damage over time, as the Vortex continues to damage the enemy Pokemon, even if one swaps into this spot for like, I think 5 turns. And then here comes one of what I think are the most broken legendaries, is Rayquaza. Except this Blastoise is kind of a perfect match for it. It survives that Dragon Ascent, albeit barely, and now I can pop off the Max Hailstorm. Doesn't get a same type attack bonus, but it is 4 times effective, which is going to take out that Rayquaza, or it would if it weren't for the Focus Sash. But no worries, we've got Hail, and we've got that Vortex. Still a 1-turn kill. Now here's an interesting name for not 1, but 2 merged legendaries. Horseman. It's fitting. It's a kind of a dude, and he's on a horse, but alright man, you do you. Now I knew Blastoise would not survive that. I didn't know that he had Mega Drain, but with as little health as my Blastoise had, there was really nothing that he was gonna survive. They could have hit him with a water move, and it still would have knocked him out. Alright, so I sent out my Blacephalon, and Blacephalon? I don't know. I can never say that name right. But the nickname it's got is from the Amazing Digital Circus, if you're not familiar with that.
It's a one-hit wonder!
My girlfriend's daughter is kind of obsessed with the character Pomni, and honestly, it's also my favorite character once I watched it. So I wanted to see, like, okay, what's the closest I can get to a clown Pokemon? And, of course, this was it. Alright, in comes the best boy, my favorite Pokemon out of all 1025, Raichu.
It's a one-hit wonder!
And here comes his immediate death. And right after my favorite Pokemon, I send in my favorite Mythical. And just like my favorite Pokemon, my favorite Mythical instantly dies.
It's a one-hit wonder!
Because partly I forgot Ghost is super effective against poison, and partly my options were limited. Nothing I've got's gonna take this out, or even survive a hit. So here, just to add insult to injury, we're going to get the Dynamaxed Calyrex and Spectrier. Because regular them wasn't already sweeping my team, we had to make them giant and buffed.
Gone! It's a one-hit wonder!
So that battle did not go quite as well as I would have liked, and I 100% blame the fact that the team was almost entirely legendaries. Now, I don't consider Ultra Beast legendaries, but I think Xurkitree, if I remember right, was the only non-legendary on that team. And of course, the next battle starts with 2 legendaries leading. Cool. Although at least it is the shiny Zamazenta, which I think is cool, even though I am not convinced this guy is legit. So I start this battle trying to set up a little bit. Get the nasty plot off on Raichu, get it a +2 special attack. Pomni, I could have used Head Explode, or whatever the hell that move's called, but I thought, let me see what I can do with a regular fire move.
Gone! It's a one-hit wonder!
The nasty plot also did absolutely no good, as this Zamazenta absolutely wrecked my Raichu. And I'm not good at telling these Urshifu forms,
Gone! It's a one-hit wonder!
so I didn't know if this was the water or the dark one. It is, in fact, the dark one. So here comes Blastoise and Dragonair. I'm a big fan of this combo here. Blastoise brings some real firepower if it's G-maxed, and Dragonair's got that real staying power between the multi-scale ability and the Eviolite item. So I'm hoping I can get some real damage off here, and with Dragonair's extreme speed, if one of the enemies is close to knocked out, that can ensure the KO before it can take me out. So Zamazenta tries a wild charge on my Blastoise, which I'll give it to him. Good move. That was probably the best thing they could have done against that. But Blastoise's bulk, especially in G-Max, was just too much. And yeah, that was a good hit on Dragonair. If it weren't for that multi-scale, probably would have taken it out. But both my Pokemon survived, which means they are both going to be able to do some massive damage this turn. That Urshifu may have survived the G-Max Cannonade, and it may have a berry that is going to help it recover some health, but I do not think that's going to help it in the long run. So I'm setting up here with my Dragonair, getting Dragon Dance off to boost its attack and speed by 1. Here we're going to see the effects of that G-Max Cannonade. Finish off the Zamazenta, and put the Urshifu down in real close to knockout range. So here comes another legendary. I'm not too worried about the Tapu Koko. I know it's going to take out my Blastoise with or without this Dynamax, and I'm not concerned about that. Blastoise has played his role, he's done some heavy damage, and he's got that G-Max Cannonade out. So as far as I'm concerned, Blastoise has pulled his weight in this battle. The rest of the team can take it from here. Now, as you probably guessed I would have used, I used the extreme speed with the Dragonair just to make sure I took out that Urshifu before it had a chance to pull any shenanigans here. Tapu Koko brings out the expected max lightning, and I was surprised that my Blastoise lived. Only on 12 HP, but still, that gets it an attack off. Gonna do as much damage as I can here, another G-Max Cannonade. I know it's not gonna take the Tapu Koko out, but if I can at least get it in some good range, then I'll be happy. It's got a berry, but not quite enough to put it back into the green, and of course the G-Max Cannonade's Vortex is gonna do some damage there. Now we see another legendary, but not just a legendary. A hacked shiny legendary. A hacked Regieleki named some crap or another.co, because that's not obvious. I don't know if all the real Pokemon players have moved over to Scarlet and Violet or what, but people here just have no shame.
Gone! It's a one-hit wonder!
So I pulled off a Dragon Rush. I knew it was my strongest move, getting the same type attack bonus, and I knew Dragonair was not likely to live this turn, but I wanted to take out that Regieleki, and I knew it was really glassy. That did take it out, and you know what? This didn't even have to be a fairy move. Sure, it's super effective against my Dragonair, but Gust probably could have taken out my Dragonair by that point, with how low its health was. Now this was a cheeky little move. The one non-legendary, if I remember right, that this guy had was a Shedinja, and I gotta give him props for that. Shedinja is a cool Pokemon. It's a real gimmicky one, but it's cool. So here we've got another G-Max, Lightning, whatever. I think he underestimated my Victini's bulk. Victini managed to tank that like a champ. And I think, okay, well, Shedinja can only be hurt by super effective moves. Let's go with the Blaze Kick. That's not going to lower my stats like V-Create will. And at first I was like, what the hell? Why did it do no damage? And then it occurred to me, it's got a Focus Sash. And I thought, well, crap. Phantom Force, it's going to vanish. You know, it's going to avoid all the other damage. How am I going to take this out? So I'm worrying about that while my Slowbro is finishing off this Tapu Koko with a super effective Shell Sidearm. One of my favorite signature moves, by the way. And then we get to the end of the turn here, and I remember the Cannonade that takes out that Shedinja even from whatever ghostly plane it was hiding in. So here comes a familiar face, another frickin' Zygarde. So it uses this 1,000 Arrows attack. Real good move there. Victini holds on by a thread. Didn't do a ton of damage, and the Rocky Helmet took out my Victini, but, you know, he fought the good fight. So I use Psychic with Slowbro. Get it down to its power construct limit, and I think, okay, even with the little bit of restored health there, even with the boost it's going to get from its complete form, I might be able to take it out with a second Psychic. Gonna be close, but I might. Except then it pulls out this 1,000 Waves attack, finishes off my Slowbro. That was my whole team. We did good. For a big noob all-legendary team, minus the Shedinja, we did alright. So with the third battle, we're going back to a single battle here. I kind of alternated it single, double, keep things from getting too stale. And this was a perfect setup for me. I don't know if they thought they could outspeed me, or if they just overestimated their bulk, but
God, it's a one-hit wonder.
That was an easy one-hit kill from Victini. And now I've got a Pokemon that's kind of concerning. Marchstomp is a real good counter for Victini, but for some reason they use a move that, while super effective, is not same type attack bonus. So I get another Zen Headbutt off. Now they are using a stab super effective move. Oh my god, would you please chill, dog? And my Victini still survives, and then takes it out with the third Zen Headbutt. So, okay. I was at a disadvantage there, still managed to live. I think next move's going to take me out, so YOLO, go for big. Let's do this V-Create.
God, it's a one-hit wonder.
One-hit kill, as expected. Now, it is going to lower my stats, but I gave my Victini a white herb so that I can get off a V-Create without having to pay the stat penalty. So here we have some more hacked bullshit. A shiny Incineroar with a website URL as a name. Fortunately, my Victini manages to survive. So next turn, what do I have to lose? Nothing's going to do a whole lot of damage here. Let's just go for the V-Create, see what we can get off. He's going to faint anyway. And then he uses a parting shot, which I don't know what the plan here was. He could have knocked out that Victini with literally any move, but dropped its stats and kept it alive anyway. So Blaziken comes out, and I think, okay, probably going to outspeed me and kill me first, but just to give it a shot, let's do a Zen Headbutt. I was correct. Takes Victini out before it can do anything, so I'm up against a fire type. Let's go to my water type. G-Max Blastoise comes out. Let's make some fried chicken. Now, the Blaziken outspeeds my Blastoise, which was not super unexpected, but that Aerial Ace does next to nothing. And this G-Max Cannonade is going to wreck this Blaziken.
God, it's a one-hit wonder.
And another of my enemy's Pokemon goes down. And he's got the counter here. In comes the Sceptile. And he's going to G-Max the Sceptile. Can't hold this against him. This was the correct play. I'd have done exactly the same thing in his situation with his team. Does not mean I have to be happy about it. So here comes the expected max overgrowth, super effective from another G-Max Pokemon. This doesn't take Blastoise out. My Blastoise has some impressive bulk, but I know he's not going to survive another hit. I pull out the Max Hailstorm coming off of Ice Beam. I am not confident this is going to take the Sceptile out, and while it does a ton of damage, does not pick up the KO, and I know that is the end for my Blastoise as soon as the next turn starts. Here comes the second max overgrowth, and the end of my Blastoise. It is always a bummer when you see a Dynamax Pokemon get taken out before the end of its 3 turns. And it's even more of a bummer when it's a G-Max Pokemon. You know, I feel like the Dynamax gimmick is really underappreciated. I liked it. Terra is cool, but I really did prefer Dynamax. Mega Evolutions is obviously the best gimmick, but Dynamax was rad. Anyway, send in my Dragonair, pull off an extreme speed, make absolutely sure I take this thing out. And here's some little happenstance I think is funny. Dragonair gets damaged by the hail, and then gets healed exactly the same amount by the grassy terrain. So, not really sure what to do here. He's still got the multi-scale going because of the HP. So I think, okay, let me get a setup here, get a speed boost, get an attack boost. I know I can survive at least one hit. Takes a Flare Blitz, which is a real strong move, but between the type resistance, the multi-scale, and the Eviolite, I'm able to tank that real well in spite of the same type attack bonus, and this little hacked piece of crap is going to take some recoil damage, plus the hail damage, although, again, the grassy terrain is going to mitigate any advantage the hail might give me. So now that I've got those boosts in attack and speed, pull off my Dragon Rush, almost take out the Incineroar thanks to that critical hit, but he just manages to survive barely. It pulls off a Parting Shot to drop my attack, probably not its best move because they have no more Pokemon and therefore are not going to be able to withdraw or anything. And look at the health. I am 1 extreme speed away from victory here. Alright, that was a good battle. That made me feel a little bit better off of the legendary defeats I had, because I took him out with 4 Pokemon still left. So for the last battle here, we've got a double battle, and of course, we're starting with some legendaries. And one of them's Mewtwo, one of my least favorite legendaries to go up against. Although I do have the type advantage here against Moltres. Now Mewtwo kind of surprised me here. Not that it knew Blizzard. That's a pretty common move from Mewtwo. But that it landed the Blizzard.
God, it's a one-hit
I swear Blizzard is less accurate than that 70 accuracy indicates. I'm trying to get a one-shot or as close as I can with this Mewtwo using the V-Create, and it comes so close. That Mewtwo has to have like 10 hit points left. So they send out the Palkia, and I think, okay, this is not great. I have nothing that's super effective, and it does have the type advantage over my Victini. Here comes Mewtwo, landing 2 consecutive Blizzards. Don't know how that happened. Fortunately, Raichu avoided it, and Victini tanked it. So I think, okay, let's just do what damage I can to this Palkia. I know that Thunderbolt's not going to be super effective, but I also know that it's the best move I've got here. Now, fortunately, while it did not take it out, that Thunderbolt did paralyze the Palkia, and that is going to be my absolute saving grace here. Victini manages to take out the Mewtwo, and Palkia can't move because it is paralyzed. Now, I knew that Raichu was not going to be great against Zekrom, so I think, okay, let's do a little bit of damage and get him out of here with the Volt Switch. And then I'll send in this Dragonair, which I know is going to be weak against Zekrom as far as types go, but is also going to have it be weak against me since Dragon is its own self-defeating thing. Also, if I swapped into a Fusion Bolt, it would resist it, although I did expect him to use that against Victini instead. Alright, so here comes a shiny Charizard, probably hacked. That's just sort of what I assume with all legendary teams, or most legendary teams. But I like the shiny. It unsurprisingly takes out my Victini real quick, and my Dragonair almost gets a one-shot on this Zekrom. Now, unfortunately, this Zekrom is way too strong, even with the Eviolite.
God, it's a one-hit wonder.
Even with the multi-scale, it one-shots my Dratini. Which surprised me, but not the end of the world. So, I go for my trusty G-Max Blastoise, and I send in Pomni as some backup there. So I go with the Shadow Ball here. I'm really trying to get some damage on Zekrom and take it out, because I know it is definitely my biggest threat, having the type advantage against Blastoise and being a legendary. Fortunately, it didn't have much health after that Dragon Rush from Dratini, so Pomni was able to take it out real quick and then get the Beast Boost bonus there. I don't know what this Charizard was trying to do with Brick Break. Like, surely it had a better move, and even flying would have done neutral damage and gotten the same type attack bonus, but
God, it's a one-hit wonder.
whatever. I one-shot this hacked Charizard with my G-Max Cannonade, and there we go. 2 knockouts in 1 turn. Their last Pokemon is Akira, and I know there is no way they can pull off a win here. I still have some in reserve, and it's 2 against 1. I use the Shadow Ball here because it's going to be the best move. Almost takes it out in 1 hit. And then I finish it off with a Disrespect Max Steel Spike from Blastoise. Hope y'all enjoyed these battles. Sword and Shield is full of hackers these days, but there's still some fun to be had online.